We've all been there. You meet someone new or someone you kind of know. You start with the usual hi, hello, followed by go-to questions like, what do you do? Which team do you work in? Then, after a bit of back and forth, an awkward silence sets in. I've been here many times, not just at work, but in various social settings, like meeting a distant cousin at a wedding you haven't seen in years, or talking to a random stranger at a bar. But what if you could speak to anyone and never run out of things to say? The problem is, we all have some level of social anxiety, which plays a role in our awkwardness. But we're at different levels, and I personally graduated to the more advanced levels without any cheat codes. So, over time, I developed my own 3 methods to speak to anyone and never be awkward again. Well, at least most of the time. Initially, I blamed myself for being too shy, not confident, and just a little bit socially awkward. But like everyone else, I was the exact opposite around people I was comfortable with. So, I asked myself, what really is going on? How can one person have such opposite personalities? What I realized was that, even though I'm an introvert, I don't have 2 personalities. It wasn't even a confidence problem. It was a skill problem. I simply hadn't mastered the art of small talk, and just like any other art form, like learning a new instrument or writing poetry, speaking to people is a skill that can be developed with enough practice. After years of trial and error, and observing people who were better than me, I quickly understood. So how do you actually become better at conversations? After years of trial and error, I've found that just 3 simple techniques can completely change how you connect with others. These aren't tricks or fake confidence boosters. They're real strategies you can use right away, no matter who you're talking to. Ready? Let's start with the first one. Method 1. Ask intentional follow-up questions. If someone said, I'm going to play golf over the weekend, you could either say, oh, that's interesting, and then stare into space while listening to the sound of silence. Or you can ask intentional follow-up questions. For example, where do you usually play? How long have you been playing golf? This will lead to further follow-up questions like, do you play competitively? Are you part of a club? Now, you probably couldn't care less about golf, but this shows you're genuinely interested in what the other person has to say, or at least that's the perception you're creating. Secondly, this removes any awkward pauses and silences, and it also gives you the power to control the conversation and take it in any direction. The truth is, a conversation is simply a series of questions and answers, and the person who asks the most questions is usually the one in control. Method 2. Listen more, speak less. The second method involves listening more, not speaking more. To improve your communication, you need to do the exact opposite. Listen more intently and do nothing but listen. If you listen closely, you'll know exactly what to say next. You'll ask the right questions, and the conversation will feel smooth and natural for everyone involved. Method 3. Find common ground. The third method is finding common ground. Once you find something you both relate to, maybe it's a hobby, an opinion, or an experience, the conversation will flow on its own. The truth is, there will be times when the conversation goes nowhere, and there will be awkward silences. If that happens, just learn to be comfortable with the silence. It will pass, eventually. By following these 3 methods, more often than not, you'll be able to speak to anyone and never run out of things to say. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share it with others, and I truly appreciate you for watching until the end. See you in the next video.